The National Student Financial Aid Scheme says based on the current rates and caps in its system, it projects that over 18 billion rand will be spent on accommodation by the end of the year. According to NSFAS, it has recorded an increase of almost 2 billion rand in student funding for accommodation year on year over the past 3 years. Joining us for more on this is SRC Secretary General at the University of Cape Town, Takalani Makhwathana. Takalani, good evening to you and thank you so much for your time. So let's talk about this gap, this accommodation gap, because we know that at times it leaves students with accumulated debt and some of them not able to graduate. I'm going to get to that part in just a moment, but I want us to paint a picture for a viewer who is not sure what we're talking about, the impact that this is having on students and what does it look like exactly?
Okay, no, thank you so much for having me. So for a viewer back at home, because usually it gets misinterpreted that the SRC is asking for a blank check, they're not satisfied with 52,000 as it stands right now. So they must imagine a student that is coming from a deep rural village, maybe in Limpopo, coming to Cape Town. And then NSFAS says that we can only pay 52,000 rands. And then the cheapest accommodation at UCT is 71,000. It can get to 111,000, which means that students needs to take the shortfall and then ends up owing that particular shortfall. At the end of the year, that students end up owing between 80 and 50,000 a year. By the end of their degree, they're owing around 200,000. This prevents them from graduating. This prevents them from getting certificate. And by the time they finish their graduation, and then now they're at home, their debt gets handed over to debt collectors. They get blacklisted, they get taken to court and everything. This is just because they can't afford. And for a student to be NSFAS funded, it means that at home they don't have money. So that is the situation that we're dealing with, and we would like the viewers to take it from that particular context. Thank you.
Takalani, what are you as the students seeing as the issue from when it comes to meeting each other halfway as here, because this issue has been raised for years now. And it's been one that NSFAS has been saying it's looking at, it's dealing with for quite some time, because the discrepancy, for example, between what NSFAS gives and what the institutions are charging is something that is not new. So who's not meeting who halfway?
So the issue is both the Department of Higher Education, is both the Portfolio Committee of Higher Education and NSFAS. In May this year, we wrote an email as UCT SRC to NSFAS requesting a meeting with them. They referred us back to UCT and we told them that UCT, we have engaged with UCT and UCT says that they've been engaging you guys for 3 years and you guys are not answering. On the 10th of June, we went to the Portfolio Committee of Higher Education. We made a plea to Mr. Takalani that please come to UCT. When you come to UCT, bring Portfolio Committee of Higher Education, bring members of the Portfolio Committee, bring NSFAS, bring department on board so that we can sit down and talk. He agreed to do so. We sent multiple emails to Mr. Anel, who is the secretary of Portfolio Committee. He kept saying that the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee is not answering. We have written multiple emails to the Minister of Education, Mr. Butemana Mela. The Chief of Staff, Mr. Russell, called me last week on Thursday, and then he indicated that the Minister cannot meet us this week because there is a cabinet meeting. So we, as the SRC, we have exhausted all options. We have written statements. They don't want to meet. So we are left with a situation where we feel that there is no way to run to.
And you're now taking it to court?
Yes. So UCT Council last year in December approved for UCT to take this matter to court. As the SRC, we feel that because of exhausted all options, we even undertook a march yesterday to NSFAS and in Parliament. Because we have exhausted all options, we feel that the best option right now is to take this matter to court. And then this will also mean that NSFAS will have to also pay the historical debt that the students are owing because of this gap.
Is that still an intention, or have you already filed the papers?
So we have informed the registrar's office here at UCT last week. And then next week, the process of appointing a legal firm will be underway.
And as you speak about, this particular matter and you taking it to court now, and of course, we know the arguments, as you said, have been laid bare. What kind of prayers are you then going to be making to the court? I know you've hinted a little bit to say that you want the debt to be paid, but what else are you going to be calling on the courts to grant you here as far as resolving this issue once and for all is concerned?
Yeah, so I think because today we were watching the colloquium in Parliament, and the NSFAS CFO indicated that no, they can put the caps there. And when NSFAS was moved from a loan scheme into a bursary scheme, the document that established that bursary scheme, and it was called D8 bursary scheme, the word cap was there, but they said that the cap, the accommodation will be kept at a defined institutional accommodation rate, which means that they will come at UCT and say, UCT, how much are your accommodation rates, right? And then they kept it at that rate instead of this blanket check. So that's one of the things that we want. We don't want a blanket check, because this issue of high student accommodation cost does not only affect NSFAS students, it also affects self-funded students. And one of the things which makes us very much angry as SRCs is because in 2023, NSFAS said they're taking this issue to Competition Commission. Just last week, the spokesperson of Competition Commission indicated that this matter was never brought to them. So one of the things that we're going to request is that we don't want this blanket check which is punishing everyone. We want the cap to be the accommodation to be kept at an institutional accommodation rate. It does not make sense that you are saying that a student from Bloemfontein and the student from Rondebosch, both of them, they're kept at 52,000. So that's one of the things that we're going to be requesting, and we hope that and we are prepared, by the way, to meet NSFAS halfway and say, no, let's settle these things out of court, but at least they should be willing to agree to that.
All right, appreciate your time. Let's see then, how do you begin to work around some of these issues, right? Institutional autonomy, and also what you're raising, as well as, this issue of accommodation, which has dragged on for so long. But appreciate your time. Let's see what happens. SRC Secretary General at the University of Cape Town, that's Takalani Makhwathana, they're speaking to us.